UK, 52 years to the day later, there was another massive flood. 52 years to the day of the Lynmouth flood, another massive flood in a nearby town in the UK. Again, just how history repeats itself by the numbers. Again, that's all covered in that chapter. Don't forget, and for people who think this stuff's a joke, I was just in Buffalo confronting Vice News. They were at Buffalo, too, putting out the latest propaganda trying to undermine the Second Amendment. But Vice News wrote this hit piece on me in 2017, calling me a wacko YouTuber. But then they wrote, proves World Series was rigged. And we did, as we've done year after year. But in that year, it was because Matt Harvey was the first pitcher to pitch in Houston after the flooding of Harvey, and he pitched exactly 52 days before the start of the World Series. And not to mention, we called what day Harvey was going to flood Texas because it was the date with 52 numerology and the 239th day of the year, the 52nd prime. And I'd been talking about this for over a year consistently when this happened. And I mean, this is 5 years ago now. But yeah, Vice News, they quoted me. The reason that matters is because the word flood in gematria equals 52. Houston flooded on a date with 52 numerology on August 27th, which was the 239th day of the year, which is the 52nd prime number. It was 27 years to the day of the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan, who is remembered for the album Texas Flood. Think about it. So they're making fun of me like that's all stupid. And again, the prediction was that Houston would beat the Dodgers in that World Series. Houston was flooded while LA was burning, and I said water puts out fires. And speaking of which, you got the fire tiger Queen Elizabeth in the year of the water tiger, who's got a monument up on Stonehenge right now by the numbers, but it's a whole nother topic. But anyway, the point is, been talking about this stuff a long time. Vice News tried to make fun of it years ago. And realize that's the problem. The people in society are listening to the mainstream news, which is nothing but propaganda and lies and cover-ups. And those same people that are believing the liars, they're looking at someone like me and calling me a wacko or crazy when I continue to prove my point. How many people in the world put out all the dates for 2020 to expect hurricanes and watched day after all the dates land? You know what I mean? So, and that was year after year, it's the same type of thing. You'll see that these storms happen on the 52 day, but 2020, it was crazy because they hit every single 52 date. It's not normally like that. And honestly, when I put out that list in 2020, I wasn't expecting there to be a hurricane ritual on every single one of the 52 dates we circled, but that's the way it worked out in 2020. So we just circled all the 52 dates again, and again, it's simple math. You can go through and figure out what the 52 dates are. There's 2 in each month. Today, June 4th is a 52 date. The next one this month will be June 24th. It'll be the abbreviated date. 6 plus 24 plus 22 is 52. Next month, it'll be July 3rd, 2022, and July 23rd, 2022, and then August 2nd, 2022, and then August 22nd, 2022, and then September 1st, 2022, and September 21st, 2022. So then I got to think about in October. There actually isn't a 52 date in October. But sometimes it does hit on, like, if you remember March 8th, there was massive flooding in Hawaii. They said it was the worst flooding in 25 years. That was the headline on March 8th, 2021. That date had 52 numerology, plus it could be written 8/3. So you had the 52 date numerology, the 8/3 date, and they said the worst flooding in 25 years. So, I mean, there are other dates that floods happen, but 52 is the most consistent thing there is. And we had the first hurricane make landfall just about a week ago on a 56 date. Hurricane is 52 forwards, 56 in reverse, so climate change also equals 56. But anyway, the 52 thing's the most consistent. This person at Gremlin Sauce on Twitter had this post, and it's good to see people learning. But he pointed out this was the news yesterday on the 153rd day of the year. Potential tropical storm Alex. You see how that equals 153 to go at the 153rd day of the year? And then Hurricane Alex is 212, and the day leaving 212 days left in the year. So keep an eye on that. But this is just par for the course. reporting weather by the numbers, things being done by a system, and, people not comprehending what's taking place. Most people think this is unfathomable, even though JFK talked about it in 1961, which means this year on September 25th will be the 61-year anniversary. Think how far technology's come in that time. Okay, for other headlines, Nestle saving the day with 33 million more baby formula bottles. So Joe Biden yesterday says, today we secured another 33 million bottles. This comes after he asked for 33 billion for Ukraine. You think he'd ask for 33 billion for all the U.S. cities and areas that are devastated like Buffalo. We don't have any time for the actual U.S. people. It's always something abroad. The New World Order military muscle that we are. But anyway, today we secured another 33 million. I mean, honestly, if we didn't have poor communities like Buffalo, where would they ever get soldiers for their voluntary military force from, right? You need people in a bad place so you can take advantage of them and exploit them. That's why we do it the way we do in the U.S. But anyway, 33 million bottles from Nestle, and guess what Nestle equals? 33. And you see how his thing says that means over 127 million bottles of safe infant formula are heading to the U.S. shelves as soon as possible. Well, 127, remember, Scottish Rite of Freemasonry equals 127. They got their headquarters there in D.C. at the address 1733. Mason equals 17, Masonry 33, modern Freemasonry created in 1717, 59 years before this nation, where 59 is the 17th prime. But notice, Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, 127, the top degrees 33, Masonry Federal Secrecy Order, they're all 33. I mean, just look at it. Isn't it just so obvious? They call D.C. the Masonic City. And then I was wondering why they did it on June 3rd. I was thinking there must be some reason June 3rd. So I looked into the first company to create infant formula, and look at the name of it. Liebig's? What a name. But the first company to create infant formula is Liebig's. And notice the gematria. With the alphabetic order 63, with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology 36. These are the ciphers where flood is 52 and hurricane is 52 when you use numerology, but Liebig 6336, just like how June 3rd can be written 63 or 36. And again, just one crisis after the next, one manufactured ordeal after the next to keep people right where they want them. Looking to government to save the day. The government creates the problems and then provides themselves as the hero. But again, you learn the code and you see it's nothing but one ritual after the next. And for all the mothers out there that are lining up for the Nestle breast milk formula, here's what I got to say about Nestle products. Buy a water testing kit and then go buy different brands of bottled water, and you'll notice a number of the brands of bottled water are owned by Nestle. Like the most common one up here in the Pacific Northwest is Arrowhead, but if you go to different regions of the country, Nestle has different brands on them. But they're like if I go to the bottled water section, like out of the 15 different brands that are there, 3 of them are owned by Nestle. And it's always the same. When I used to teach school, I used to always show this to children and why you should never buy a Nestle brand. And I said, just based on this, I wouldn't buy any Nestle products. But if you do the water testing kit on all brands of bottled water, Nestle's always has the highest reading for the most contaminated. And just because I did this so many times with students, if you get a water testing kit, it'll tell you that if it tests between 0 and 1,000 parts per million for the contamination level, it's considered safe by the FDA. And the average brand of bottled water, it'll test at around 80 parts per million with contamination. And I'm trying to remember the brand name that was always the cleanest. It escapes me. But there was one brand that was always consistently the cleanest, and it would always test around 10 parts per million. And I can't even think what it's called right now. But it doesn't matter. What I'd also show people is that up here in the Pacific Northwest, I'd always have my students bring in a sample of their water from their tap, and I'd have them bring it in from like their outside spigot and their bathroom sink and their kitchen sink, and we just test them all. And unless you had rusty pipes up here in the Pacific Northwest, your water would usually test at around 35 parts per million, so it was actually cleaner than most brands of bottled water. Again, just a reminder of how people are wasting their money buying these products and creating more garbage because all the plastic, and essentially just padding the pockets of the companies that own these things. But the thing about the Nestle brands, again, the average brand of bottled water would always test around 75, 80 parts per million. But the Nestle brands, you'd be lucky if you found one that tested under 300 parts per million. So often their bottled water would test between like 500 and 800 parts per million in contamination. And I'd be like, see, do you even want to spend your money on this? Up here, Arrowhead is always the cheapest brand of bottled water at the store, and it's Nestle's. And again, according to the FDA, it's still safe. As long as it's under 1,000, it's safe. But still, you're paying for water that has way more contamination in it than your own tap water up here in the Pacific Northwest. I remember one time, I told a lady in Costco, she was just stocking up on all that Arrowhead, and I said, you should buy one of those water testing kits and see if your Arrowhead's cheaper than or safer than your tap water. And she went like this, oh please, I always buy this kind. I was like, okay, don't say nobody didn't tell you. So anyway, yeah, I have a feeling Nestle's one of these evil companies that's putting a little something extra in their food that's, meant to help you line up at the pharmaceutical aisle for the pills to treat you with whatever symptoms and ailments you have. So, what do you know? Nestle with the 33 million bottles of infant formula to bring us up to 127 million. And then the first company to make this, I just love that their name is Liebig. It's like, how did this even happen in the first place? How are these women that all of a sudden didn't have time to breastfeed? I understand that some women might have like some medical condition where they can't breastfeed, but it's like, how did this even happen in the first place? Like, why do we even need this product? So, anyway. Also, for another correct prediction, we said back on May 17th, it wasn't hard to see that Dr. Oz was going to win the rigged election in Pennsylvania, the ultimate mockery. Remember, the election was May 17th on the anniversary of the publishing of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, where it seems that so often, year after year, they figure out some tribute to Wizard of Oz on this day, and this year it's Dr. Oz. And they did call the election for him yesterday, but we said just watch. Dr. Oz will win on the anniversary of the publishing of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And again, for all you guys who continue to vote in the elections and think Trump's the hero, again, this is Donald Trump's guy, right? And remember, just like how we told you in 2015, it looked like the election would be rigged for Trump. Just like how before Biden became president, we said it looked like it'll be rigged for Biden. When Obama first won, it was 10 years after Tupac's song Changes. Where it said, we still ain't seen a black president. Then 10 years later, we get Mr. Hope and Change, 10 years after Changes. Tupac probably recorded that song live in 98 after his supposed death in 96. But anyway, don't forget his rap alias was Machiavelli after Machiavelli, who faked his death. But yeah, Dr. Oz wins the election that took place on the anniversary of The Wizard of Oz. And then, of course, Jesuit puppet Elon Musk. Don't forget when they declared him the richest man on the world on the 78-year anniversary of the death of Nikola Tesla, when Tesla and Jesuit equals 78. On June 2nd, the 153rd day of the year, he came out and said he has a super bad feeling about the economy. And that phrase, well, I got a typo here. Here, let's just write it. Let me make sure I didn't screw this up. Super bad feeling. Yeah, I just typed it wrong there. You see the 144 and 72? Just like President Biden, who had his speech by the numbers that day. 144 and 72. But of course, Jesuit order, 144, 72, and 153. And he says that on the 153rd day of the year. Again, the Jesuits run your fake government, your fake news, your fake economy, all by the code. Okay, I'm not going to say any more about that. It's just the latest proof of the Jesuit puppet that he is. Oh yeah, let's not forget that he supposedly bought Twitter on the 115th day of the year while he was following 115 people on Twitter exactly 43 weeks after his own birthday, But also in the news, Shakira getting a divorce from her husband that has the same birthday as her. And once again, celebrity news by the numbers. Shakira born February 2nd, the 33rd day of the year, just like her husband. She's 10 years older than him. But notice, from her birthday to the divorce news, today's Saturday, June 4th, is 122 days later. Shakira 122. And you might recall her name is a lot like Kansas City, and the year she did the Super Bowl halftime show, Kansas City won. Kansas City's also got that 122. Notice how Shakira got the 122, 50, 31. Notice Kansas City has the 122. Oh, actually, Shakira has the 67 as well, like Kansas City. But then Chiefs has the 31 and 50. You see? The year she did the Super Bowl halftime show, the Chiefs won. Now, 122 days after her and her husband's birthday, they're getting divorced. So, we've seen it many a times before. For other celebrity news by the numbers, Mariah Carey being sued for All I Want for Christmas Is You. I mean, really? That song's been out since the early 90s. Now she's getting sued? Again, it just automatically, anytime you see this stuff in the news, you know it's news by the numbers. Andy Stone sues her Friday, June 3rd, a date that can be written 3-6. Andy Stone, 36 in the most pure cipher. Not to mention it was Mariah Carey's 69th day of her age. She's born in 69, and Mariah Carey equals 69. So, again, just always just manufactured news by the numbers. By the way, let's send a happy birthday to the twerp, Anderson Cooper. It was his birthday yesterday, born June 3rd. He does the show Anderson Cooper 360. And remember, in the most pure cipher, Anderson's 36, and so is Cooper, to go with his 3-6 birthday. Don't forget he's from the Vanderbilt family. His mother died right as Vanderbilt won the College World Series in a big ritual. And LeBron James. Again, just more proof that the NBA player salaries are completely fake. He becomes the second ever NBA player to reach $1 billion. Of course, the first is Michael Jordan on the back of his Nike Jordan brand. But Forbes reported that he became a billionaire on the 153rd day of the year. Now remember, 153 is the 17th triangular number. That's why on that same day, the Celtics with 17 championships went on a late 17-0 run to beat the Warriors for the 17th time all-time in the playoffs.